Hey everybody, welcome back to Rink's Garage. As you can see today, we got the Suburban back in the shop. Got some goodies for it. We're going to try and get the ignition column fixed so we can start it with the key. Got some stuff to do with the exhaust. Also, we'll give her a little tune-up and a couple other things. So let's get after it. So after our last video of cleaning this thing up, next part of the project is to get it working normally. So if you remember, somebody has already ripped the tumbler out of here, so we don't have a key. And they also got the ignition box ripped off the bottom of the dash, so we'll take a look at that. But first, there's something else I want to do. Get going. Remember, we stuck these rims on it last time. I don't really like the white, how it looks on here, so I think we'll pop them off, take them over to the paint booth, spray them a different color. So we'll get that going first, and then I'll jump back on the ignition. All right, we got tires all prepped up, taped over, scuffed them up just a bit, not much. Got paint loaded up in the paint gun, heat in the booth is on, so see what happens. Well, there we go. Got the back sides done on two of them. We'll flip them over to the fronts, and then we'll let them sit in the booth and bake here for a couple hours and throw them on, see what she looks like. It's just a satin black, some Rust-Oleum. So I'll flip them over to the other sides and we'll throw them on after a bit and see what they look like. All right, while we're waiting for them two rims to dry, next thing on the agenda is we're going to get rid of these running boards because they're ugly, and the wheels hit them up front. So, oh yeah, by the way, I redid the front end here while I had the wheels off. It's new rotor, new brakes. Anyway, there's some braces run across underneath and a couple self tappers, so I'll pull them out and hack them braces off underneath and get these things out of the way, and then maybe our front wheels will be dry and we can throw them back on and move on to the back. All right, we got the front wheels back on. Not too shabby. Got rid of them running boards. There's a little bit of cancer under there, but got the back ones off. I got the painter out, spraying them black. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace the brakes on the back here too. And then tires will dry, we'll throw them back on and we'll go on to the next project. All right, we got our wheels back on. Real fancy other than the rusty lug nuts, but I thought I had a set of chromies, but they're for half-ton stuff, so hard to see what she's gonna look like, but I think it'll look better than the white / rust colored ones. So next, see, when I let her down off the jacks, I kept her up on 2x4s to give us a little more room underneath, because I got a couple boxes with some stuff for there. So let me get them boxes out and we'll see what's inside of them. So went on Summit, thinking, you know, since the exhaust is rusted off this thing, we should probably get some new stuff, and found their cheapest dual exhaust kit. It's for C10, so we'll see if we can make it work. But we got full dual exhaust, 134 bucks, and then I got a couple glass backs too. So we got 200 bucks worth of exhaust right here. So let's crawl under there and see what it looks like. So underneath here, Right now it is got a Y pipe on it, which runs to this one. That is just sitting up there loose. And then disconnected here from the muffler. But the muffler's here, you know, it's just wired up. So I think we'll have to start by getting that crap out of there. And then decide what we're gonna do up there. I was thinking of just cutting that Y pipe apart so we can get true dual. Make something work there. I might need to find some 90 or something, but I got my pipes laid out, so I think I'll just cut this other stuff off and then we'll figure it out from there. All right, well, I've been sitting under here thinking of how I'm going to do this. We got a lot more room over here where this Y comes across, so I've been thinking if we can cut her off here and here, and then I can bring both pipes on this side, because we got a transfer case in the way there, but it would be nice to keep it on this side because of the pipe. I got this other one mocked up there, kind of how I want it, so we'll get the saws all out and cut that off, and we'll see if we can fit her up. So this kit we got was just a Dynamax. I think it was made for Dynamax headers. It was the cheapest thing I could buy, so I figured I was gonna have to chop some stuff up, which we did. So I got the Y pipe cut out of it. What I did was cut the Y pipe there. So we got a connection over that pipe. Comes back, got our glass pack right here, and I just got a temporary thing to hold it. And then I scrounged through my bin and I found a little 90. So I think we'll do him on there and then run that other pipe up right next to it. So our glass packs will be right here, right next to each other. And then we can catch this hanger with our pipes. And then I just got to connect up to this one, and then my other one will have to go up and over to that side over there. So I don't know. I think she'll work. Should sound pretty good too, I think. So I'll continue cutting my pipes apart and welding them back together. I've seen I did weld it. It's welded right to the glass pack. So we'll have one connection there and then one in the back, hopefully. Less chance of leaks later on. So we got our two glass packs fastened to the Y pipe, and I use the factory hanger for both. And then she comes up and jumps over. Now the passenger side pipe wasn't quite as easy, so I had to make a couple cuts. It's not my finest work, but she'll work. And then all I really had to do was put one hanger right there, because I used the factory hanger on the other side. Right there. So she's all plumbed in and I had it running, so I'm gonna let you know it sounds pretty good. Maybe a bit loud, but we'll fire her up so you can hear it. Sounds pretty good. Might get in trouble with the police, but. So that is done. Next on our agenda is figuring out why she starves on gas. Dad did put a new fuel pump in it, but it doesn't have a filter. And I'm thinking maybe this, I think there's a filter in here in the carb that might be plugged up too. Accelerator pump seems to be working, it squirts gas, so, but you try to use any power at all, it'll just want to die. So work on throwing a filter on that and pop that one out of the carb, see what she looks like. All right, we got a fuel filter installed. before the fuel pump. Just made a little loop there. So now pull that one off the carb and see what we got going on there. This other nut was kind of loose, so I wonder if we weren't just bleeding air there. I didn't see any fuel leaking. There was a little bit leaking down there, but you know, nothing had any clamps on it either, so. Ew. A lot of gunk came out of there. This little filter is probably shot, and of course I don't have one. So we'll probably just blow it out, but there's a lot of crud sitting in there. So I'll blow this little filter out with some brake clean. Get her as clean as possible anyway, or stick her back in and see if that helps us out. Alright, got our gas line hooked back up. I did check over all the vacuum lines. The only one I found that wasn't hooked up was this one, which is the vacuum advance for the distributor. So I think what I'm going to do is fire her back up, back her outside, and give her the old seafoam motor treatment. We'll just dump her right down the carb, see if we can break loose any carbon stuff in the pistons and the rings. It does smoke a little bit, and it sounded like maybe it was missing on the driver's side now that I got exhaust on it every once in a while. So we'll run that through it, and then we'll tackle some wiring. We got to put back together the wiring that Dad temped in. As you can see, there's just bare wires everywhere. So figure out that wiring, and we'll take a look at the steering column, see if we can get the key switch fixed up. So, well, I got her outside. Definitely sounds like it could be missing one of these cylinders, so I got the temp gun. We'll just check out some temps and see if there's one that's way cool. 215, 260. 270, maybe number 7. It's definitely about 100 degrees cooler on the back one, so maybe pull that spark plug, take a look. I don't know what, some sort of fluid squirted around in there too, but we'll dump some seafoam down her and see what happens. Still got a miss, but it's definitely, oh, number 7 is 150 degrees less than every other one. So see if she's got any more snooze putting power to it. Oh yeah, or it would just try to die. Oh yeah, she'll pull now. Whether it was that vacuum leak or just not getting gas, I don't know, but kind of cut out. But well, I think we'll pull her in and see if we can get something done with this thing. Never had one of them apart before. So when Dad picked this thing up, the tumbler was already pulled out of it. So I can get in there with the pliers and turn it. but it's like it's not connected to the rod. So there's a rod that runs down the steering column that hooks to the key, and that'd be why this is laying out under here. That rod sticks in under here to move the ignition. So that's accessory, on, and start. So I wonder if it just came disconnected in there, or what the deal is, or how they got this out if they had the steering wheel off, because I think there's like a bolt that goes here in order to get that out. So we'll pull the steering wheel off. Basically, you gotta take these 3 screws out, pop that off, take this clip off, nut off the inside, and then we'll throw the puller on there and see if we can pull her off. All right, so I got the puller on, snugging it up with them 2 5/16 bolts, and then snug her down and see what happens here. Oh, maybe they did have it off. Huh. There's a snap ring on there we got to get off, but by rights the guy should have some sort of thing to compress this down to get it off, because it's just like a split ring. So let me see if I can rig something up. Otherwise we'll just do her the muscle way. All right, well, I didn't come up with much. I did have this piece of hanger left over from the exhaust system, so I think we'll just try, see if we can put that on there. And I got a socket. See if that'll wind her down tight enough to get that loose. I don't know. Ooh, I think I need a little more shim there. A washer or something. I think they do make a tool for this. That might be easier too, but now I probably ain't got enough room to get the stupid clip off. Well, the clip is loose. Whole thing come flying off my face probably. Come on. Oh, had it. Might have to find a better way to put her back together. Maybe order that tool. Okay. Now she don't fly apart on me. Bonk. Stuff going everywhere. I think now we gotta take our blinker switch, which is real tight. It's really nice. We gotta take the lever off, and then not sure how this hazard thing comes out. That's got a screw in the end. So we'll take this screw out, and then we'll take, I think there is 1, 2, 3 screws looks like in there, and then the blinker assembly should come out. I think there's enough loose wire back there it should pull, but we'll see, I guess. Well, just for gigs, let's where's this going there? Yeah, see that? They must have had it off in order to get that screw off of there. Not sure why it's hung up there, but Well, I did some stuff. Couldn't put it in the video because there was too much cussing, but basically I dropped the column down, took the 2 bolts, dropped it down, and somehow got that ignition box back up on top. Luckily, I had my Harbor Freight bolt set because the bolts were missing, and they're like a 1032 or 832 or something. So I got the rod stuck back in that ignition box that was hanging down here. Got this back up, and what I found is everything seems to work. Like, accessory is there, and then your normal running position works, but there's no starter. Like, that last cog is bad. So for now, I think what I'm going to do is put the steering wheel back together. We'll have a key on off still. We just won't be able to start it, but we can use our push button starter, which is already wired in. So maybe we'll have a key and push button for now. Might have to find a different column. She's real, something broke. So I'll throw the steering wheel back together, and then we'll check that wiring under the hood and see if we can figure something out there. Well, I got the steering column back together. Word of advice, buy the little compressor tool. Wasn't fun getting that nut back on, but got around with my muscles. Next, fix the wiring. So it looks like they had just hacked off the ignition wire, you know, which is way down there. So somehow we got to get a butt connector on that and connect it back to here. And then we should just be able to leave our push button. Maybe throw a wire nut on it so she don't short out. And I think it'll work, and the key will shut it off. So I'll get that connected and we'll try her out. All right, we got our ignition to the distributor wired back up. So I suppose we can see if it works. Should be able to turn the key on. Hey, we maybe should even get some dash lights now. And she should start up with the button and shut off with the key. So, uh-oh. No dash lights. Makes me worried. Well, let's see what happens. We got no ignition power. I'm gonna have to check some fuses. Well, it's been several days since I last worked on the old Suburban, but steering column really kind of made me have a bad day, so this is where we're at. I put it back together. Turns out, evidently, the internal cog in the steering column that the tumbler runs evidently has some gears stripped off it, so it'll go to lock, accessory, but it won't start it. It slipped over center, so I put it back together, and we got the ignition box that's supposed to be underneath on the steering column back out where it was, which is probably why they had it there. So now all we need to do to start it, of course, is got my pick here, and we just click her forward one click, get our dash lights, and then we just hit the starter button. And then we just click her back, shut her off. So that's how it's gonna be for now. Probably have to find another steering column. But next thing on the agenda, I did pick up some parts. We got an alternator, spark plugs, a alternator belt, a filter for the carburetor, and some valve cover gaskets. So I noticed she was leaking down real wet along the motor there, and of course this number 7 over here is hitting maybe a fourth of the time you can hear it. Another thing I noticed since we had her running, I don't know if you can see that, but Heard a little noise, and that water pump is real wobbly, so probably have to change that out too. I don't have one of them, but we're gonna change the oil. We'll pull the valve covers off, put them gaskets in just to check valve train, see what that looks like, and throw an alternator on it so it doesn't run the battery dead. As you can see, got jump pack on her, but we'll pull that spark plugs out, see what's going on. See, this side, it sounds real good. This one you can hear the mist on it, so get her warmed up a little bit. We'll drop the oil out of it, throw a new filter on it, and we'll pull them valve covers off, see what's going on. Oh yeah, and our shutdown sequence involves our pick again, like I said. So we just go boom. Kind of a hot wire situation, but hey, and it's steel, so it's fine. Crack this guy open and see what the oil. Ooh, that was not tight at all. So we hit the bucket. Oh, awesome. As you can see, she was spitting out some water, so water pump's definitely shot, so we'll have to pick one of them up in the future. Alright, well, got the new filter on. I thought I checked the oil on this thing, but it doesn't seem to be 5 quarts in there, more like 3, so she might have been a little low. Obviously it was burning some because she was smoking out that tailpipe where that one was missing. So next thing, we'll pop them spark plugs out on that side first and see what we find. Well, we got the valve cover off. Valve train all looks good. Nothing super loose or anything like that. Everything looks pretty close. No big oil puddles sitting in there. Spark plugs, real ugly. See, number 7 completely fouled out, full of junk, so that one might burn a little oil. I don't know if the rings are stuck or what, but they're all fairly dirty, so she's due for new ones. Valve cover had the old cork gasket on, came right off in one piece. So I'm gonna spray this down. She also did on the back, as you can see, it's bent, so hammer that straight, spray her down, take her outside to the pressure washer and clean her off, and then we'll just clean up this surface, throw some gasket maker on there and stick my new rubber valve cover gaskets on, and we'll stick this side on, pull the other side apart, see what that looks like. Alright, we got our new rubber gasket all glued on. We'll let that dry so it don't slide off when we stick her in. And just for giggles, I stuck the scope in there. Number 7. I don't know how good you can see that. It's hard to see, but she is clean as a whistle in there, which is weird. But piston top looks nice and clean, not even any carbon on it. Cylinder walls look fine. So I'm gonna just say that spark plug was shot, and rings might be stuck a little bit. So, but once we get her going good enough, we can go rod on her a little bit. That stuff might break up. So I'm gonna throw new spark plugs in this side, throw that valve cover on, button it back up, pop the other side off. We'll see what's over there. We definitely will need a water pump. She's got a touch of wobble in her. It's too late to run to town to get it, so we're gonna forego that for today along with the alternator, just because I'll have to take it back off anyway. But I'm gonna finish up that other side. I got a new filter, so we'll throw that in here where we had it apart, and then we'll fire her up and see how she runs. Take her outside. Probably better not rod on her too much, or that fan might go right through the radiator. But later on down the road, we'll throw a water pump on it, and I'll probably just switch out the coolant too, because it's been sitting around like that. Oil looked pretty crusty, so I'm sure this ain't been changed in a while, and maybe it's just got water in it, I don't know. So, but pull that other valve cover off, check that stuff, switch the spark plugs out, and we'll fire her up again, see if she runs any better. Got her all buttoned back up. Last thing is do is put some oil in her. Got 5 quarts of Prime Guard 1030. We'll get them all dumped in there, and then we'll see if she'll fire up and take her outside, see how she looks, how she sounds. Hopefully the fan don't come off. Guess we'll see. Alright, we got her all buttoned back up for now. Spark plug wires are all on, so let's fire up and see if we still got a miss. Better. Not getting any smoke out of that pipe, so let her warm up a little bit and we'll throw the heat gun on her and see if she's even temperatures now. We got 270. Much better. It wasn't even over 200 before. I'll back her out and take a look at her and see what we got left to do. Well, doesn't sound like it's missing. It was smoking out of that pipe when I backed it out, so she might have some stuck rings on that cylinder or bad rings. We'll have to see. We'll have to put some miles on her, but made a list of what we got left. We got steering column. I'll have to see if I can probably just find another automatic column, swap it out, probably the easiest. Otherwise, we'll have to dig deeper in there. But for now, we're just gonna run with this setup. Got my pick. Water pump, I'll have to pick one of them up. Alternator, got that back there. We'll throw on body patches and fender flares. So, trying to decide how far we want to go. I don't want to put too much money in it, so, but we got to do something with these holes. I bought some of this rubber fender flare stuff. It's cheap. I don't know if it'll work. Maybe give her a try, and probably get rid of that plastic in the back. Thinking we'll just get some sheet metal and make our own patches, and maybe just, you know, bed liner on the bottom under that or something. But other than that, she's all tied up. You can see she's spitting water out. That fan's probably about to come off. She looks a little better with them rims on, I think. But for now, she's gonna get parked and I gotta clean up my mess again. I always got a mess. But it's gonna do her for this time. We'll probably do one more video, get her buttoned up, roadworthy, go for a cruise, see how she runs, and then she's going on the old block. We're gonna sell her. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.